help people walk through this journey to frequent co-washing, and I just let the process speak for itself. You don't have to do a whole lot of, arguing back and forth about what, because then they go, what about hydro fatigue?
Is it hydro or hygro?
I don't know. I've Googled both of it. Hydro, I don't know. I don't subscribe to it.
I think it's a made up term.
I laugh when people say it. No disrespect. I love y'all.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Guess who's in my chair today?
It's Dina-Verley Christophe.
Dina-Verley Christophe. I'm glad that you said your name first because you wrote it out for me.
I did.
I know, yeah. Verily?
No.
I know, exactly. That's how I would have said it.
I know.
Verley.
Verley.
Are you married?
I am.
You are.
That's my married name, and I had a hyphenated last name.
Christophe is your
It's my married name.
Okay, got it. Oh,
and I love it.
Well, guess who's in my chair?
It's me. It's your favorite client.
It's my favorite client.
I just took that title.
Yeah, and you can have it.
Thank you.
One of my many favorite clients. So, I want to welcome you all to Guess Who's in My Chair today.
Well, first of all, the chair itself is so fly because we're actually in a stylist chair, right?
Yeah, we are we're in a salon and we're in a stylist chair.
I love that.
And it was my friend Anna Debra Smith who got so excited when I told her the concept.
I love her.
And she said she was kidding, and I was like, ooh, she likes it. And she was like, no, this is about who's in your chair.
Yeah.
And I was like, exactly. And I've always said that I am only as smart as I am as a man because of the black women that raised me and the women that sit in my chair every day.
That's what I love about you.
Yes.
In fact, I love Guess Who's in My Chair because I think those are the people who are able to speak most effectively about the conversations that you want to have.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's almost kind of like client, attorney, privileged conversations.
If you know, you know.
And if you know, you know. And it's those rich conversations that I've learned over the last almost 40 years.
Wow.
With listening to the conversations. And as a result of that, I have no filter when it comes to sharing my tea.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I don't know what I'm in for.
I discovered menopause.
Excuse me?
Menopause.
Okay, that's new. That's new.
I don't know why, because it is real.
It's real.
And a whole host of other things. Sharing your stories with other people also, there becomes this commonality with people. And that's how you that's why you tell stories, right?
I'm not alone. There's nothing wrong with me.
Right.
And then our stories become testimonies. And then we get to walk alongside people who are going through things.
Where do you think the natural hair movement started from? Storytelling? The World Wide Web? Remember the World Wide Web before it was...
You mean like the tutorial boom?
No, I mean like in early 2000 chat rooms.
Oh my gosh.
Remember chat rooms before blogs?
Well,
Long Hair Care Forum.
I wasn't old enough.
Right on. I'll give you that.
I wasn't old enough quite yet. Black Planet was my foray into the chat room.
Oh, okay.
Experience,
I never made it out of MySpace into Black Planet. Yes. I wanted to go to Black Planet, but I was still trying to navigate what
MySpace was.
It was interesting because when I started hairrules the brand, that was 2006, 2007.
Okay. So that was the end of that period.
That was the beginning. It was and then I saw something on Charlie Rose did something on I don't know what the woman's name was from Facebook, but she was talking about Facebook and it didn't exist yet.
Wow.
And I was like, Facebook.
Wow.
Now you can run a whole ad on Facebook.
Right. People run whole businesses on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah.
Whole education programs.
It's so fitting because we were reconnected.
Yes.
Because you came to me.
I booked a consultation with you.
No, before that.
Before that, I came to you as a client.
As a client.
And I was very shy. You don't remember me because I was just kind of like starstruck, just like sitting
You
in the chair.
were.
Just
Whatever.
I was.
Starstruck.
I'm obsessed with you. I stalked you for like 4 years.
Uh-huh.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous.
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
No, I want to hear more.
I did. In 2020, in the fall of 2020, around this time, I was headed to New York on an anniversary trip, did a wash and go that took me an hour and a half, and I was like, that is a lie from the pit of hell. And so the whole ride from South Jersey to New York, I'm Googling, wash and go tutorials on YouTube. And then I come across your video with Taryn Guy. And then there was another young lady who you were styling, and the way you just masterfully walk her through the problems that she's facing with her ineffective, inconsistent styling outcomes. You walk her through what you're gonna do and the reason that she's facing these challenges.
Yeah.
And then you literally take her through the wash and go experience and style it for her. And like you get her hair to do something that she didn't even think was possible. And I was just, sight unseen. You just sat there and just watched her. You just sat there. She was staring at herself in the mirror. You just said, let me tell you why this has happened. I'll tell you why that's happening. Let me tell you when you get back out from under that water, why you're going to see a new head of hair.
And you know why I know this?
Go ahead.
Because I listen.
Tell us why. Yes.
Because I listen to women, particularly black women, and if you don't listen, then you don't know how to communicate to the person.
Yeah.
And my good friend Anna Smith taught me a long time ago about listening.
Yeah.
And how you communicate is for the person receiving it.
Yeah.
And if they're not receiving it, so talking about hair and about someone's journey on hair and knowing their historical past and relationship with their hair,
their
and
lifestyle,
how this is going to be a challenge to a black woman to say, I got to wet it again. Who's going to do it? I got to do what? Huh?
Every day.
Pneumonia.
What?
Right. Bronchitis. I'll get right. Everything. And so out of listening to the I can't, and the repeating myself over and over again. I had to, and you do have to repeat yourself over and over again. They say you have to repeat yourself 7 times.
7.
Yeah, I do it at least 21,000 times.
You must have over the years.
And even in a conversation or in a session with a client, it's like, you say it and then 2 minutes later, they said, so what? I was just like, the thing that I just told you.
The thing that I just, I think our mindset,
yes, it's
our
behavioral.
History with our hair,
yep.
And the things that we've been led to believe about it, we automatically say, there's no way that this is going to work for me. And so I don't think it's just the fact that you listen to her. I think when you're standing with someone, you're standing behind them and they're sitting in your chair and you're listening to their story, but you're affirming what you're about to do, it's because you believe in the inherent goodness.
Yeah.
That is in her.
Right.
That is it. That's what allows you to do what you do. And I've heard some horrible stories and some amazing stories. And you just have to have empathy and compassion for someone who, in the back corners of her mind, who still wants to be team natural no matter how tore up her hair looks. It's like, she still believes, whether she can embrace this thing or understand it, I'm here for it, because she still believes. Yeah. And hair texture and skin color run parallel. Black women are running from water and the sun.
Yes. Black people chose at some point to not believe that our skin color is bad. Yeah. And are just now discovering over the last 20 years
that black is
to
beautiful.
Today that our hair texture is as beautiful.
Yeah. But I think our routine needs to reflect that.
Yes. Well, it has to, because independent of how you feel or look at your or want to believe in your hair, it's going to dictate how it is believing what you're saying by how it performs and how it looks, how difficult it is.
But that is not your inheritance. It's going to look right back
at you like Debo. If you don't, you do what you want to do. And it will win. And I told my client yesterday, I said, I'm not saying this for me because I don't have any hair. It's because I know after all these years what the truth is about it. Yeah. And how could you possibly believe that your hair texture out of all of these groups of people on earth
is somehow more flawed.
Out of all these people, that your hair texture is the one that, being the driest, should not ever get wet. Huh? That makes no sense.
And that you would believe that water
the ocean wasn't made for you?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You believe that water never dried anything out or made anything dirty. Unless, of course, you live in Flint, Michigan, or Mississippi.
I think it's hard to believe what you're saying because what you're saying is so simple.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for people to accept it because we're so used to chasing after the juices and berries and the next like hot
berry juice.
Product. The Wakanda berry juice. We're so used to chasing after the next product. The rice water, the creams that should be going downstairs, but we're putting them upstairs.
Right.
Like all sorts of like concoctions, and it's very simple.
Yeah.
And I think when they see when a woman sees someone with curls or waves or Z pattern that they really like, the first thing they say is, "What are you using?" And I wish the question would flip to, "What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?"
Yeah. So back to you.
Back to me.
Dina.
All right.
Former professional dancer and creative and lifelong student of natural hair care and styling. You performed your first big chop with a pair of Dole scissors. I know those Dole scissors. Kitchen scissors. I did a haircut with a few of those. And continue to fail beautifully forward, caring for and styling your own hair for 20 years until finding Dickie in 2020. But Dina, we've known each other before 2020.
No. I know it feels like we have because I just inserted myself into your life.
So this was after
I knew you.
The pandemic?
This is after the pandemic. And it's funny, I was in the car up here with my mom, and my mom was like, I didn't imagine him to look like that. And it's funny you say that because the first time I saw you, it was like, I'd known you my whole life. And so me coming to the salon, me bugging you by email, like all the things, it was just a continuation of the conversation I was having with you in my head the whole time.
So you are, and you're a frequent co-washer.
Yes, I am.
As a result of literally making, you are the walking advertising for me.
Yeah.
I love it. And you found coaching other curlies, and you want to write your own book.
Yes, I have.
Your first book, UNBOUND, a manual for transforming your mindset and your routine in your hair journey. Yes. For mindset and routine, because that's exactly what we just talked about. But more importantly, when we met on the Zoom for the first time, when I do these virtual consultations through Hair Rules, and it's for people who can't get here or wanted more information about, or wanted more extensive consultation, and so you popped up, and and you know, and you didn't quite tell me what you wanted, but I was like, well, we need to talk more because it's only 15 minutes on the Zoom virtual consultations, and so we had a further conversation, I think a week later. And you said that you
writing a book.
Were writing a book,
and I was like,
no,
I'm quoting your.
Didn't you say
what?
Anyways, you said something about some project, and I was like, you were a writer or something.
I am. I'm writing this book.
So I interrupted you like I'm doing now, and I said, oh my God, because my team is hounding me to write a book. And I was like, will you write my book?
I was like, yes. And I just threw mine like on the back seat, in the back burner.
And I got off the phone with
I want to know what you were thinking.
And I still was like, I ain't writing no fucking book. I don't want to write a book.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I could do a podcast.
Yes.
Because our conversation or my conversations with my clients that have become friends, many of them, and they run the gamut, right? They're in every different industry. They're in every sector. They're in every generation. And it's just the things that I've learned and discovered through listening to these women and discovered about myself as well as them, as well as the world that we live in. It's invaluable, the type of information. So that's why I wanted to share those conversations. And I don't think that a hairdresser has really, and everyone knows that relationship between the hairstylist and their client. It's client-attorney privilege. Right? Yes. Is that how that goes?
Attorney-client privilege.
Nobody needs to know what we just talked about.
Right. It's sacred.
Yeah, and I have had clients that were dragged through the house at knife point by their husbands the night before, who fled their homes on Sutton Place.
My goodness.
And, you know, and
my goodness,
almost lost their lives, and with children, and like, and it's funny, I say that because I don't know, New York State Board of Cosmetology, I think, identified hairstylists as having to
mandatory report,
and I thought that was so responsible because you know,
I recently completed this certification called psychotherapy. It's run by Dr. Afia, but basically she pulls together stylists, she pulls together people who are interested in, you know, caring for folks who are taking care of their natural hair, and she kind of gives you this first responder approach to listening to people talk about their hair journey, listening to people talk about their lives. Like you said, the hairdresser, you're kind of on the front lines when it comes to like mental health and people processing out loud what's going on with them, because they're letting you into like one of the most sacred parts of their, you know, aesthetic lifestyle.
Right.
And so what she does through this psychotherapy certification is take you through different ways to triage, you know, certain mental health challenges that people might face. You can, you know, listen out for body dysmorphia by the way they talk about their bodies or their hair. Listen out for a woman who might be facing abuse, right?
I've had to pull back many conversations. I'm like, this has very little to do. And then you adjust your conversation because you, to your point, you recognize things if you're listening. That's so interesting.
So I love that mental health professionals and stylists are really starting to partner with this, because for Black women, our hair journeys are so tied to our story. And a lot of times it's so also tied to the things that we've overcome and the things that we've been through. And we need to really view ourselves, our story, our bodies, how we present ourselves and our identity, performance, as all being interconnected. So stylists and mental health people getting on the same page about that is like really gonna push us forward in this next phase of the whole like my hair is beautiful movement that we're going through.
Especially when and then you got children, you got men that are all entering into the conversation. I'm surprised about how many men contact me and are so much hair that you're like
about their own hair or their children's hair?
Their own hair. And women are becoming very mindful. I know Nicole Ari Parker told me once when her daughter was in school that she told her daughter's teacher, like, you know, only comment on my daughter's hair when it's natural, not when it's straight. So I don't want any positive comments to her hair unless she comes in with natural.
That's why I did my first big chop, by the way.
What's that?
I was raised natural my entire life by a woman who wore her natural texture, and she said, and I begged for a perm. You ain't getting no perm until you can take care of it yourself. And so what did I do when I turned 16? I got a perm. I fried that thing. And so I grew up in North Philly.
It?
My aunt did it down the street. Burnt my scalp. I love you, Aunt Angel. And so,
I'm gonna make it work.
Right.
You gotta burn.
You gotta lay it.
Right.
You had to lay it, and I wanted it laid. I wanted so bad to fit in. And then my first, my first few walks to the bus stop, I noticed a different way that the men are talking to me, on the street. I'm 16 years old. But, hey, boo, hey, what's up?
Oh, really?
And it was wild. I knew that it wasn't about me. I knew that it was about this hair. And after about a year, I approached my mom and I was like, I want to cut it off.
You had a good outcome with your relaxer, didn't you? Because you can always tell how good a relaxer is. You can always tell how good someone's hair texture is by how it relaxes.
Well, and she was specific. It was late, and we used just for me. Like we definitely used like something that was like very mild,
right?
And she walked me through like how to make sure that I was like neutralizing it myself.
It wasn't mild.
I know you say that. You say that. But I knew it wasn't me, and so this is before Jill Scott and India.Arie got big.
Right.
I went in that mirror and just took some scissors to it. I mean,
How long did you wear it for?
The big chop? I wore that into college. I wore that for about 4 to 6 years. And then the attention switched from, hey, shorty, to, hey, sis, hey queen. It was
Oh, wow.
It was really interesting.
Uh-huh.
And I learned a lot about what kind of value I placed on myself and my identity performance based on having that experience, going from long natural hair, long permed
And
hair.
how you were controlling it.
Yeah.
You can't stop the comments, but
No,
you can control the
but
comments,
I can control
right?
it. And what I loved was that changing my hair changed my title. I became sister. I became queen. And while I didn't like sporting a baldy, I had to wait for that to grow out.
How short was it?
Oh, it was down to the scalp. It was down to the scalp, especially because with scissors you couldn't get a even chop. So she had to buzz
it.
I had a baldy.
No, you couldn't get it
before Amber Rose, before it was cute.
Oh, I bet it was cute.
And I came to school. I went to an all-girls high school. I came back to school the next day, and they were like, it was like, you didn't do that. You didn't cut long hair past your shoulders.
I love it.
For no reason. But it was the first
What
time.
grade were you in?
I was in 11th grade in 2000. So this is, over 20 years ago. There was no natural hair
It was 20
aisle.
years ago, wasn't it? Ooh.
24 years ago.
24
years ago, yeah. So there was no natural hair care aisle. YouTube University wasn't popping.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was back to, Blue Magic and the boar bristle brush and the bush comb.
Yeah.
And two-strand twisting.
No, natural hair was not a thing in 2000.
TWA was not it wasn't a term.
No.
Mini twist, like this whole thing. It wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't that. It was, I had a bush. And my grandmother, every time I went to see her, especially through college, baby,
Was that your last
going?
relaxer?
That was my last relaxer.
It was.
That was, yeah. And the reality is, I still feel more beautiful with straight hair. That hasn't
Really?
Yeah, that hasn't left.
Why can't it just be different?
It's just I can't lie. I feel like it's in my DNA, and so I choose to do this to affirm who I really am. But I just still
When was your last haircut?
well, I cut it myself about 8 weeks ago.
I'm sorry, my
About
bad. I meant
8
to say
weeks.
professionally.
You, like 2 years ago,
Oh, yeah.
but the coin got tight. So
Yeah, okay, well, you need a haircut next week. So, no, for real. So I say that. I wonder if you believing that your hair straight is more beautiful if it's a length thing.
It is totally a length thing.
Okay, so then stop there. Because
Yes.
you need a haircut.
Even on my way here, I was
Right.
trying to blow my roots, and
So
I was
my
like,
biggest frustration is black women have the right. Well, at one, everybody's hair grows at the same rate, regardless of
Yes.
ethnicity and texture, which is
Yes.
about 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch a month.
yes,
The challenge with textures that are kinkier is
Yes.
that it's harder to see that length because of the shrinkage.
Right.
The fundamental shape of that strand is not straight. And those hair textures didn't come with a care tag.
yeah.
I'm the care tag.
You are the care
I'm the
tag.
care tag, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because those textures, some women don't even think that they have a right to have their hair long. I'll say like, well, tell me what's your
Yeah.
blue sky
Yeah.
During the
What's your blue
consultation. And I just want it healthy. Well, ma'am, you just got through saying since college you've been wearing long braids and weaves and sew-ins.
Yes.
And that you
Yes.
now went natural and like your goal
Yes.
is you don't want it to be tore up and damaged, which
Yes.
it is.
Yes.
But
yes.
you have beautiful hair
Yeah.
through
We
all
do.
of that.
We all do.
And no one properly introduced you to it. And so
That's
when
a good
I
way of
ask
putting
you
it.
what your blue sky is and you just say you just want it to be healthy, you don't want it to be long?
Yeah.
So some women don't even think that they have the right to have long hair.
Yeah.
And you don't, because it won't get long
It
unless
won't get
it's
long.
healthy.
We go through these cycles of undesirable outcomes, and so we go natural and we think, you
I
know
think
what?
women know this more than anything.
Yeah, we cut it down. We do the big chop, and then we put on that perfect lipstick shade and the earring, right?
Right.
And then that gets But yeah, we do that big chop. We get the pop-in lip gloss and the big earrings, and then we get sick of that because our hair isn't growing fast enough.
Yes.
And so we dye it red or blonde.
Yeah.
And then it gets super dry.
And for a month, You just get bored, and you have her, and rightfully so. I get it.
And rightfully so. But what we don't recognize is that like chemically altering the hair also sets us back a step or two, because then we have to apply even more moisture. We got to get in the shower even more often. We have to,
because you're not doing what you're supposed to do, and you want to do all these other things.
And all these other things.
Yeah.
And then we decide we're going to get braids.
Right.
Because it's finally long enough to catch something.
Right.
Right? And so
I
we
know,
go through
it's a crazy journey.
It's a crazy cycle. And after a year and a half, we go back to straightening and perming it. And then we start the whole thing over again. And we might mix in an undercut here and there, because we don't want to give up, right? Like you said, we don't want to give up on it. But I think if we sit around and actually talk about, if we start caring for the hearts of the women who actually have the guts to brave this journey, and instead of making it about the hair, if we start caring for our hearts and our minds, we would find out that like, oh, we're stuck in a cycle.
That's at the core, right?
Yeah.
But then there are these standards of beauty,
right?
That listen, I'd say to women all the time, like, they wasn't thinking about you or me when they made beauty products.
Not at all.
When they started making shampoos, when they started making makeup, they weren't making them for us.
That's right.
They were not making. You were told to put your hair under a rag, to plait it up. Nobody wanted to see your beauty.
That's right.
And like education, there's an entire system that was never meant for you.
That's right.
So we broke down the door and said it is from us. It is for us. And guess what?
And we found some amazing styling solutions, right? Yeah. That allowed us to integrate into
that's where the magic comes from, right?
Because we do what we do. When we show up,
don't be mad.
When we show up,
do not be mad or hate it, because I showed up with blue locks, platinum hair.
Or
edges,
fro.
Yeah.
Or a fro that went sky high.
A fro one day, and you know, you see it on social media, just how different we are from one another, and it's so beautiful.
It is.
And how overly excited we get by change and switching something up.
Braids. Okay, yes, pixie cut. Okay, yes, bob.
I'll never forget. You know what's trying to come back now is the French roll.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited for us.
I am too. You know what's interesting is, so in the 90s.
Yes.
Good
stuff.
Remember?
SWV.
SWV. But remember Vogue highlighted Ivana Trump? No. You might not remember.
I wouldn't know.
You don't, because
was she wearing all white on the
I don't remember,
the cover?
But her and Donald had just gotten a divorce, and she got $25 million, and she started, killing it on QVC, and she became a client of mine, and a good friend of mine at the time, Danilo, was her hairdresser, and he was just one of the most spectacular hairdressers in the world, and her French roll, her updo,
it went viral.
Well, no, it didn't go
before
viral.
viral.
What went viral were black women
getting the French roll,
hijacking.
That's
that French
the beginning
roll.
of that.
That's what I think. Now, I don't want to take anything from black women and where they get their inspiration from.
What year is this?
I want to say Ivana was 94, 95.
Yeah, that was the height. That was the height of it.
And all of a sudden, the French roll, as we well
had
now.
One.
Yeah, you didn't.
No, my hair was natural at that point. I didn't get that perm until 99.
I'll give you one.
A French roll? Oh my gosh.
But I love that they're coming back. But they're going to come back in a very twisted way, I believe.
What does that mean? What do you mean?
Because the twist that black women put on trends is all their own.
Well, I'm here for it. I'm all about black women being unbound in their styling choices and their routine and their mindset when it comes to their hair.
Yeah.
It's about being unbound. You want to wear a French roll this week and your wash and go next week? Go for it. Just know the truth about your hair.
And don't tear up your hair.
And don't tear up your hair.
And if you do tear it up, then be the switch it up girl. But do not be bald in your mid 30s or your early 20s, because the things that I see that are just crimes against hair.
Yeah. Crimes against our bodies.
Yeah, against your bodies. I mean, we no longer do relaxers at Hair Rules as of maybe 2 years ago. Because of the overwhelming evidence of what relaxers
Carcinogens
do to a woman's body. And like, it's like the cigarette companies. You guys knew what was in that stuff. You could have at least put a warning label on the box of relaxers. But
there's no warning label? It's been so long since I've even entertained.
No.
Wow.
Not like there should be for causing, ovarian cancer and anything else.
And
fibroids.
when we look at the evidence of fibroids and ovarian cancer,
it is now
in the Black
fact.
community.
Exactly. Right. So tell me about your book.
Well, that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And the last 2 chapters to write, I avoided them like the plague for the last year and a half, were detangling and products.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to talk about it. And
I didn't talk about products in my book.
You do have a section on products. You don't list specific products, which I love.
I don't, because I didn't want anybody to think that I was selling them anything.
You never do.
And I talked about cholesterol.
Yes, you did.
Because that's the most common generic conditioner, and it's just like, use it.
I love you, because you're a care tech. Yes. And so you also talk about some natural oils that women can use, and you talk about the health benefits of these things, like increasing blood flow, right? Helping to increase softness and luster and things like that. And so I've been struggling with the chapter on products, because I feel like people are going to pick it up and go directly to that chapter first, because that's the first question that people ask, right? And I think that we have to, if I want people to read the sections on mindset, on routine, on merging your lifestyle with your desirable styling outcomes, right? How do I do that?
Based on the head of,
right? Based on the head of hair I have, my current lifestyle, maybe you have children, maybe you work nights, right? And your budget. We cannot leave behind our budget. When we consider all of these things, because we're pushing for aesthetic holism, right? How we present ourselves should really flow out of our values. And so I'm asking people to choose desirable styling outcomes in the book. I'm asking them to choose, what their values are in going through the process, right? Like, what do I want? And so one of my biggest values is well-being and consistency. Those are my 2 biggest values. I just need to be consistent with my co-washing, because I know that my hair is going to tell the truth about itself. And I need to always be focused on my well-being, right? It can't, no one compartment of my life can suffer because I want juicy popping curls.
Right.
And so I've been delaying this chapter on products, because I feel like it's a really sticky subject. Because we often don't know how to use them. Because
the products were the first thing to come out of the gate.
Right.
Before understanding how to use those products, kind of like the cart before the horse, right? And shout out to Shea Moisture. Shout out to Hair Rules first.
Yes.
Shout out to Shea Moisture. You know why I love Shea Moisture?
Why?
Is because Shea Moisture, where all of a sudden there were no products for Black people, there were products everywhere. Because that was what was needed. They weren't, again, when they made products in beauty, they weren't thinking about us.
Right.
And to all of a sudden find out that you can go to ShopRite, you can go to Kmart, you can go to
Walmart,
you can go to Gristedes, you can go to Safeway, you can go to grocery stores.
You didn't have to go to a loctician's shop.
You didn't have to go to a loctician's shop, exactly.
Yep.
And because we used to didn't have an aisle. We had a dusty old shelf in some random drugstore back in the day, and with the same usual,
King
greases, pomade, and then relaxers in the 80s. And then our ethnic aisle became our multicultural aisle. It's like, whatever. That's my least favorite term. Multicultural. It's just such an empty term.
Well, I think we're trying to find our way to accepting, the diversity.
White people are trying to find their way. We're not trying. We know where we're going.
I'm committed to living life in a multi-ethnic environment, right? A multi-ethnic community.
And
you are too, right?
Yes. Whenever I talk about Black, and I am pro-Black, and I am anti anything that is not pro-Black, I am talking about a rainbow coalition.
That's right.
I'm talking about white people when I say
that's right.
I'm all for Black people. More than I am any other group.
Yeah.
Because includes...
It's not just your shirt.
No. Because it includes everybody else.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't include Black people, then it doesn't include everybody else.
Yeah. Something's changing. You know who approaches me most often now, believe it or not? white people.
Same here.
I love your hair.
Coming to the salon.
Yeah, I love your hair. I can't get my curls to, I can't find the right products. Or white men, like, I love how you're doing your hair.
Right.
It is so wild to me. Something is like shifting.
Well, it's you. It's organically yours. Like, and you love your hair.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing to walk into a room or to walk out into the world.
One thing that you talk about that I feel like doesn't get talked about enough is just how we got here. You said that the products rolled out before the how-to, before the education, right? And what we know is that the products were formulated for a specific hair type. At
least hair rules was.
Right, and I mean the very beginning of this industry, the industry that we're talking about, it was formulated for, fair, straight hair types that would strip down the strands so that they would be bouncy, they wouldn't be weighed down by oil and things like that.
You mean products for hair textures other than kinky or curly?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Mainstream products for a majority of the 20th century were not meant for curly, drier textures. Right?
Correct.
And so we were stuck using those products, thinking that it was like Goldilocks, right? We had to find the right one because we were employing protective styles in order to assimilate into the larger, mainstream culture, into the dominant culture. And so, when we were pressing and curling, we were avoiding water so that the hair would maintain that lay. And I think what we took that to mean was that our hair's inherent character was one that did not like water. Right? And what we needed to understand was that those were the conditions that we had to kind of enforce around certain styles. But our hair naturally responds well and favorably to water, well and favorably to conditioner, and less so to caustic suds. And I want to make it clear, like, it's not that I don't love those styles. I mean, I made it clear.
We all love them, yes,
we
absolutely.
love them. We don't love them at the expense of the person.
So your point is about those
about like how we can begin to talk more about our hair's inherent character. Like, it's how it responds, what kinds of environments we need to put our hair in, or what kind of routine we need to do, frequent co-washing being one of them, obviously, right, to nurture our hair's natural character. If you have tightly coiled, Z pattern, naturally drier texture. I know you feel like you're gonna sound like a broken record.
Two things you should know: because locks do not come from white people with straight hair. They can appropriate, like you've seen the Asian kids, doing the locks and stuff, and they do these like perm, red rod perms.
I've seen that.
Right? I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah.
I think we give way more passes to Japanese and Chinese brothers and sisters than we do white folks. But we see white boys, white girls with, with locks and stuff.
Yes.
But innately, they don't come from that hair texture,
right?
Because that hair texture does not.
It doesn't want to do that.
It doesn't. The strand of the shape of the strands are flat, and the strands lay on top of one another, and they're flat. They from point A to point B.
Right.
Kinky or curlier textures have a different shape in the strand of hair, and it's coily or zigzag,
and take up a different volume.
Right, and locks come from those naturally. That's what the hair does naturally. And a tangle is nothing more than a pre-lock, which is why when you're natural and you decide not to lock your hair, you're going to have to embrace one of two things. Well, both things. You should, because you want versatility. Is it wash and go styling prevents your hair from locking?
Yes.
The act of co-washing, rinsing and conditioning every time you shower, and bathing your hair in conditioner elongates, lubricates, and stretches out each strand on your head, be it zigzag, coily, kinky, curly hair, right? And at the end of your shower, you rinse your hair out and you bathe your hair in your styling product and you keep it moving. The downtime to it is drying, but you find an inconvenient time.
But I'm in and out in 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, and you find convenient times to dry your hair or do your wash and go, not inconvenient times. So stop with the I can't, start with I can. Like if it's too inconvenient for you, if you're running out the house, and I love this question, it's like, so are you running, what time do you leave the house? Oh, I work from home.
Girl.
Nobody knows your hair is wet on that Zoom call but you.
Girl.
But anyways, my point is that a wash and go style left on all the 4s, some of the 3s, for multiple days is you're just pre-locking your hair.
My goodness.
And so it doesn't matter where you got, so you stop relaxing your hair because of the breakage and damage you were getting in.
Right.
Now you've got natural hair and your regimen is improper and you're still breaking off your hair. Breakage is not good ever.
Ever.
So why is it now acceptable that your natural hair is breaking off?
Right. And then we blame our hair.
Or the hairdresser.
Or the
Or you don't want to listen to the hairdresser and
Right.
you keep telling them everything that didn't happen.
Right.
But I know, but I do this. And I'm like, okay.
Right. And well, that's where the mindset piece comes in. I think, you talking about needing to listen to the clients, I think it's important. I think women, they want to feel heard, right?
Yes.
And that's why our stories are so,
Yes.
inextricably connected.
That. Yes.
They want to feel like, no, but you don't understand. My hair just can't. My hair is flawed. Like I am not, there's no way. And I think they really need, I'm excited about this conversation because we really need to talk about the fact that, yes, I hear you. Yes, it's frustrating, but I need you to be able to put down your defenses.
Yeah.
Put down what you think you know. And yes, even set aside what you've been through.
Yeah.
No one has introduced you to your hair yet. You said that earlier.
Right.
So I need you to know that what you met is not you.
Right.
And so when I found you in 2020, I co-washed every day from October to February. And I literally saw a difference in myself. I realized I had believed a lie about who I was implicitly. I realized I had believed a lie about God. Implicitly. What do I think about a God, like you said, who would create me to be
That's
less,
terrible to think that about God.
To be less than any other ethnic.
Right, yeah. That's a huge burden. And that is another reason why I say how I say and when I say it to the woman sitting in my chair. Is it like, I do it all to take the burden off of you because it wasn't your fault. It wasn't. It was that beauty industry that didn't embrace you.
That didn't embrace you.
And I want people to know that I didn't start Hair Rules to make products for Black people. I started Hair Rules to make products for every hair texture.
Yeah.
And by default, Black and Latino were going to be the standard.
Right.
Not the other.
Not the other.
So I just started there because that was just Riri.
Right.
That was whack.
Yeah.
That wasn't and so I think that's oftentimes why that texture grading system gets accused of being racist because of how it's 4, 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3, 4 being kinky.
Right.
It's like, no, it's not. It's an amazing tool for you to see what your hair is not and what it should be so you can do what you want to do.
But I think if your default mindset is underneath it all that somehow there's something wrong with my hair, I think you're going to see anything that doesn't put your perspective front and center as a slight.
Oh, good point.
It's going to feel that way because what I realize is I don't have to argue about these things anymore because I know the truth.
Yeah.
And so when people don't believe me, I just wait for them to come around.
Right.
I help women walk through this process. White women who are parents of, multi-ethnic children, Black women who've been natural for a long time but are just frustrated.
Yeah.
I help people walk through this journey to frequent co-washing, and I just let the process speak for itself, and you don't have to do a whole lot of, arguing back and forth about what, because then they go, what about high growth fatigue? Is
it hydro or hygro?
I don't know. I've Googled both of it. Hydro, I don't know. I don't subscribe to it.
I think it's a made up term.
I laugh when people say it. No disrespect. I love y'all. And so what I think what happens is these products, they overpromise on the bottle and on the shelves, right? And then you say to someone, and they go, well, how do you do that? And I say water and conditioner, right? And they're like, no. And it's like, that's unbelievable to people.
Yeah.
That it can't be as simple as water and conditioner. and because humans existed for hundreds of thousands of years without all of these fancy products. And so what do we believe about a God that would create a specific ethnic lineage of people who can't wake up like this without the help of complex chemicals?
That is exactly how I feel when I'm talking to women. Like, how could you think that God
Why would you think that
to you?
What kind of a good God would do that? and then you know what I love in Genesis? In Genesis, like on day 6, you know, after the Lord creates like men and women, he says it tough, which means it is good. Not just good once, but good. And so for a person of African descent, if I'm looking at myself in the mirror from head to toe, and I feel like I have to manipulate my hair in order to be presentable and go outside and not look crazy.
Right.
What do I believe about myself?
Yeah.
What do I believe about whoever created me? That I can't just be and exist.
Yeah.
And be worthy of existing.
You're speaking the truth, and I love that, because that is the crux of it. And then you, to your point, you still are on your own hair journey. As much as you love and embrace your hair, you still like it. You still think your straight hair is more beautiful. But that's just real. And
I'm just being honest.
But it is, but the real journey is about believing that. It is good.
And it's worthy of existing.
God is
it's
good.
Worthy of my love. It's worthy of my time. That's another barrier.
Right.
It's another barrier. Like, well, I don't have time for that. So you don't have time for regular co-washing, but you do have time to sit up and twist it. Because what I love about frequent co-washing and wash and go styling is that it is both a maintenance practice and a styling practice.
And it
built
cuts
into one.
all the time down.
And it cuts your time. It's all in one.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I think, like, you know, black women, like, you know, it's like, but I don't have, I'm like, or I'm corporate. I'm like, yeah, all the women that sit in my chair, black women that sit in my chair are in corporate. I was like, and I know that a black woman really ain't got time for that.
Really?
So I'm suggesting that you do this because you don't have time. Not because I want you to.
Right.
And everything that I say to my clients that sit in the chair are for them to get the salon results at home. Not because, and everything is related around them having a mirror through the entire experience. So you see, this wasn't a trick. So you see,
it's not a trick.
Because they oftentimes will say, well, so how do I do this after an hour-long session? And I'm like, huh?
It's back to the mind piece, because growing up we were socialized to build our worldview and our image about our hair based on our mamas and our aunties and our stylists. Or whoever we trusted to like be the go-to person to answer the question, right? And so we really didn't have an opportunity, many of us, to build our own relationship with our hair. We don't know what its character naturally needs.
A lot of noise.
Right?
A lot of noise.
And so when they say it's a general, like, it's a cry of their heart, like, what do I do? And so what I love to do is walk people through even learning how to be attuned, helping them learn how to use their hands. I feel called to present this message to women of African descent specifically. This is truth for people of all ethnic lineage. Who have non-straight textures. Right? And I don't want people to leave this conversation without knowing that this is truth for everyone.
Right.
You may feel called to black folk like I am. Right? But this is truth that I am.
And the reason being that, as we both just agreed, is that black is inclusive of everybody. Everybody has a lot to learn from us, independent of how you think or view us, or this, that, and the other, or, you know, even who identifies as black and this, that, and the other. Like, nobody. Never mind. That's another podcast for another story.
I think learning from the conversations that we have, we can unpack our shared history. Right? When you unpack Black history, Black consciousness, Black culture, you can unpack the larger mainstream culture in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
Right?
And so, I think you have to love black people. Everything about them, from the rooter to the tutor, all of it.
is artistry.
All of it, you know,
Is poetry.
The hoodiest of the hood.
Is music. Is dance.
It is,
Yeah.
and you have to love the struggle. You have to, and you know,
The hustle, the ingenuity.
the hustle. You know,
our spirits.
everything that makes you not want to embrace it, then you don't love it.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that you don't like, and there's nothing I dislike about it, and it can be off-putting at times.
Why?
And I love, and those are my favorite things to love.
Wait, the off-putting parts about the culture with a K?
Yeah, I mean, hood, ghetto eyes, ratchetness. You know, I've been a part and accessed all of it, and see the beauty in all of it.
You do. It's one of my favorite things about you.
And artists are the ones that see that the most and have a lens that is, you know, all-seeing, because you have to draw from everything to be a really great artist, and regardless of what your artistry is. But you have to draw upon all of it to be in love with it, you know. So, yeah.
You have to take it at face value.
Yeah. So, I have so much enjoyed this conversation. We have to plan, hurry up and finish your book so you can come back and we can talk about that and continue this conversation, because it's never ending.
Yeah.
It's what we do, right?
Thank you.
You're
and
welcome.
I want to tell you, don't leave this conversation with a hard heart. You know, you really do have to, if you know that there's something better for you, if you've been struggling with your hair, if you know that, man, I really want to fix this, I want to get this right, go down the rabbit hole with the Ass Sticky videos. That's a great place to start. And then jump in the shower.
All right. And on that note, may all your hair days going forward be your best hair days. Thank you, Dina.
Thank you. I appreciate you.